What's up? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel, Sports, Life and Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's #1 couch detective, and I'm here for the news. And here today, I'm going to be going over several clips of a crisis in the Northwest of homelessness and drug addiction. This character, known as Dylan McVaney, a transgender who has been sponsored by Nike and Budweiser, uh, a man in Compton being mauled to death by his own pit bulls, and several other clips. But today's first news clip we're going to be going over, I'm going to call the white man's burden. The white man at this particular stage in the United States is completely under attack from all areas. Now, on YouTube and Instagram and social media in general, there's a lot of black conservative channels where all they do is criticize black people. And are black people above being criticized? Absolutely not. We have a lot of problems in the black community, a lot of things that we need to deal with, and a lot of problems that we have. But there also are a lot of problems in the white community. And one of their biggest problems right now is drug addiction, the opioid crisis, and the methamphetamine crisis. Now they're coming up with new drugs like Trank, and this fentanyl crisis. That starts to take over the white community. Between that drug problem, the problem of low birth rate numbers because white women are now having more abortions than ever before. Most people say that black people lead, or black women in general lead in abortions. I don't think that's true anymore. I think a lot of white women have private physicians and the numbers are fixed. You say, well, how could you come to that conclusion? Because out of nowhere, they just overturned Roe v. Wade. And there's no way, shape, form, or in hell that they will overturn that to help black people if black people was killing their babies. There's just no way. So for me, looking at it, using my common sense and my Negro spidey senses, the white man is in trouble. You know, being around and, living in Vegas here, is so many white women now who just say they don't even like to deal with white men. And I was a little shocked to hear. Yeah, I knew it was white women who like black men and, like the fiddle faddle, but I didn't know that it was this many white women who despise white men. That don't mean all. I'm not speaking, I'm not saying every single white woman and every single white man, but I'm saying the numbers are so high that it's become a problem in the white community. There's no doubt about that. Let's check out this first clip. And by the way, this is in the Northwest. They talking about Oregon. Portland, Oregon in general, Seattle, just the whole Northwest area, even parts of Northern California is the Northwest. And I lived in Portland for 3 years. Very, very, very super liberal city. But when I lived there, it was still a great place to stay. What I've learned that it's become a complete shithole, kind of like San Francisco, the same for Seattle.
is Matthew Mastera, and I am the Executive Director of Diebold Street Ministries. Diebold Street Ministries is a Christ-centered ministry. Today we are at Wallace Marine Park in Salem, Oregon, and just behind me here is one of the largest encampments in the state of Oregon, the folks that are currently living on the streets. We're out sharing the Word of God with people, praying with people. Brought out some cold weather sleeping bags that will keep people warm down to 35 and then some 25 degrees because this weekend's going to be really cold. And somebody engaged in treatment today, which is amazing.
And as you can see, these people are living in complete filth and squalor. And it makes me think back to the 80s and 90s when white people within the government, I don't, speaking absolutes, it's not all white people. Not no regular white man from Tennessee was flooding black neighborhood with drugs, because that's not true. But the white people who were in power were flooding the black neighborhood with drugs. Then they turned around and also prosecuted to the full extent of the law those same black people for using the drugs and selling the drugs, even though they were not importing the drugs. But that goes to show you that there is a God, because what happened was the black community was penalized so harshly for the drug abuse and drug distribution and selling that it actually cleaned up the communities from crack cocaine. Because if you know now, if you buy some crack cocaine and try to sell it now, you losing money. Yeah. Most parts, it's hard to find crackheads now. It's mostly meth heads and fentanyl users and whatever else these new drugs are. But the white man cleaned up the community, the black community, from crack, even though his intentions weren't good. Through happenstance, through his own wickedness, actually fixed the problem that he created. Now, in this situation, as you can hear the music and the soft tone and the kindness and understanding, most of these people, I will say almost all of these people are criminals. In order to get the drugs, you got to break the law. You got to rob, steal, and kill. You got to steal out of mama's purse. You got to break car windows and snatch what's in there, the loose change. You got to create havoc. You got to do anything you can to do the drugs. When the black people was doing it, they came up with 3-strike laws and they punished us to the umpteenth degree of the law, and thus cleaning it up. Now the white man doesn't want to do his own people like that, so this will never be cleaned up.
Just trying to get clean, just trying to get out of here. Trying to do what I can to become a citizen of the outside world.
And now I want to be indoors. I'm not used to being indoors. Being indoors is harder. You're out for so long. I had an apartment for a while, looking at dive and cockroaches, and I couldn't handle cockroaches. Mostly, but I couldn't handle animals. I couldn't handle the limitations and the lack of nature, and that's what I couldn't handle. So
And I'm glad that they edited like this. She said she couldn't handle living indoors in the 4 walls. Then they showed the 4 walls of this shanty cabin in all this goddamn trash. And I'm seeing some on the ground I ain't seen since I was a kid. A goddamn Tonka pickup truck. Unbelievable. Do I feel bad for these people? Absolutely not. What do they need? They need tough love. They need motherfucking prosecution. They need to go to jail. They need to be. That's the only way you clean this shit up. They proved it through black people. Like I said, they're not going to do that. And it's actually going to get worse before it actually ever gets better.
Like if I was to go indoors, then I'd rather be someplace out than the tower. I don't want to be tower. Stuck.
As you can see, the homelessness has skyrocketed since 2011. It actually went down 2012, 2013 was at one of its lowest. But now you can see it has increased exponentially. So, like I said, these people need to be locked up and prosecuted because they're out here breaking the law. They're not following the rules of the law of the land. They're out in public land creating nothing but dumpsters and trash and filth. And, some of these people like to live in trash and filth. When black people was on crack, they called them crackheads and said these people have a propensity to do drugs, and they said all type of shit about us. Whether it was true or not, it didn't matter because that was the perception, and they got prosecuted in real life. So it doesn't matter what people thought or said. They actually paid the real price and real penalty. Excuse
Gotten way worse. There used to be a sense of dignity, but it's just degraded over time and just progressed. You know what I mean? Like we used to care. We used to never leave the garbage out. Somebody tells you they like it. They like not bathing. They like not eating food, or they are cool with eating food that's no longer fit for human consumption.
Let me say this, and this is not for all white people, but this is very true about a lot of white people. And this video is not about a white bashing thing. It's just the reality. Because you have conservative black channels like Candace Owens and the Hodges twins, and there's several, and all they do is bash the Negro. But yet the white man, he needs to focus on himself, not what the Negro is doing. The Negro is the least of his problem. The Negro has been side by side with him since slavery. Whether it's fight, we fought in every goddamn world war, whether it was the Revolution, the French and Indian, the Civil War, the World War One, Two, Korea, Vietnam, what is it, Desert Storm, all the way up to Afghanistan and Iraq. Time and time again, we've been side by side with these people. So you would think they would focus on themselves, considering that the white man is under attack from every single area. Some say it's God. I'll let you make that decision.
I was super sick over and over, eating food that is rotten. You know, somebody tells you that they like any of that, they're not doing well. And that's after 10 years as an adult being on the streets. The housing first model doesn't stop drug addiction. It doesn't get rid of, somebody's, co-occurring things, whether there's an A and B component and a mental health component. Giving somebody a house doesn't resolve that. I had a totally new life today. I see it solely as a blessing. Be able to come alongside, because you did. You got to meet some folks. Some of them have known half my life. They knew me when, I was not necessarily the most friendly or approachable person. But I get to come back and genuinely love all these folks out here. I love to see everybody have the heart transformation that God has provided me.
And a lot of them people are living in all that filth and trash. And this is the truth. I had a couple white buddies when I stayed up in Portland, Oregon. They were real cool dudes too. Nothing personal against them. This is not a shot at white people, but their bathing habits aren't the greatest either. They're not a huge fan of taking baths every single day. I ain't saying all, but I'll be good. Goddamn, it's a lot of them, Jack. There's no doubt about that. I didn't realize till about 2005, 2006 that a lot of white people in general don't use washcloths. Blew my goddamn mind because, as a black person, I grew up from the time I was a kid that we use washcloths. I had a white buddy come over one time, and I went in that guy, he took a shower at my house. I went in there, and that motherfucker had hair all on the soap. Me and my old, like, this is with my girlfriend in Portland, and then my wife now, when he came to visit me in California, he came and did the same thing. And I asked him, man, what the hell you do? I gave your ass a washcloth. I go in the bathroom and the washcloth is dry as a goddamn bone in the Sahara. And hair was all on a damn soap, taking a bath like a goddamn caveman. But, the moral of this video, the story of this video is that the white man is in trouble. He's facing a lot of adversity. Even within his own white community, the white Jewish community is above him financially, politically, power, and everything. So if you go online and look at some of these chats and groups, and they raising hell about the Jewish community, and they would love for the black man to turn on the Jewish community too. But unfortunately for them, nobody likes us. So we can't afford to take a side. Basically, we just got to look at everybody like, man, we need to focus on getting better and improving. And one day, hopefully, we can gain and take power. But that's a story for another day. Let's take a look at this next case. Dylan Mulvaney. Now, this person has cost major corporations at this point, I would say 10, $15 billion, just one transgender person, Dylan Mulvaney. First, it started out with Budweiser. Them white boys and the demographic of the people who actually drank Budweiser lost their goddamn mind when you had this person's face on the can. They don't want to be emasculated and they don't want to be made to look like fools. Unlike black people who over the last 30, 40, 50 years have bitten a bullet in, didn't want to look homophobic, but the white boys, they didn't give a damn. Budweiser lost so much money, it was ridiculous. But as you can see on this clip, I said Budweiser had no choice. All of these guys are in a cabal at the top and they take their turn taking their lick, but they have to promote and push this whole agenda. They have no choice. As you can see, I made this video. Let me see. When did I make this video? Let me take a look. I made this video 10 months ago. But let's take a listen to what I said 10 months ago. Because now Nike is has lost $1.5 billion with the same exact person. That's why I said they had to do this. This was no accident. This was no coincidence. But let's take a listen to what I said 10 months ago. Hey, all of it. That's just a fact. Oh, wait a minute. Baphomet. You know the Baphomet is half man, half woman. And at the top, these corporations, these billionaires, these elite people, these people worship the same thing. All of it. That's just a fact. For absolutely no reason. That Bud Light, that Budweiser, all of a sudden say, you know what, we're going to put a transgender on. For no reason. Just for inclusion. Do you think they didn't know that this was going to hurt their brand? Come on. But the dealings that they have amongst the elite and these top corporations is that, hey, we are going to take our turn. Every single one of them. Some do it when they're young. Budweiser waited. They knew this shit. You cannot, there's nothing you can tell. But advanced analytics, they watch Twitter. They know who their demographic is. That this wasn't going to happen. I would bet everything I got that they knew this was going to be. Now, exactly how much, maybe not. But they knew it was going to be a massive. But, I just want to go over that clip to let you know 10 months ago, I knew this, and now Nike has lost a bunch of money on the same exact person. You can't tell me that these people are this naive and this silly with the algorithms and the advanced analytics and all of these things that they have that can predict exactly what's going to happen, that they didn't know they were going to take a major hit. Of course they did. And I told you, if you read the caption, just read what it says. Budweiser had no choice but to support the transgender community. All of them do. You'll see it time and time again. They might pick somebody new because obviously it started to become redundant at this point. But as you can see, now it's Nike. Let's take a look at this clip.
It feels like it's just a parody of what women are. And in the past, it was always seen as an insult when people say, run like a girl. And here we've got somebody behaving, in a way.
It says, Nike pays trans influencer to promote leggings and sports bras. I mean, that's so disrespectful to women. But it's hard to feel sorry for the woman because the woman has been the biggest supporter of this shit over the past 30, 40, 50 years. Women have been the biggest supporters of the LGBTQ community more than anybody. So you reap what you sow. You have to also bathe in this a little bit now.
Very unsportslike, very unathletic. It just seems like literally like a kick in the teeth constantly.
Say Olympic legend Sharon Davies is leading calls to boycott Nike over his campaign with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. And they say that women need to stand up for their rights, this, that, and the third. And yeah, that might be true. But, they made this bed. Women made this bed in general. Because men, was always like, but they supported this wholeheartedly. Now, instead of women's sports, you have transgender sports. You have people who were born male playing women's sports. And I think it's okay at this point because they allowed it. When they predicted this in movies like Joanna Man. There's been so many movies that had men playing women's sports in disguise because they already predicted that this was going. It's called predictive programming. They show you something 20 years earlier, and then it comes true, and they make it look, oh, we're progressing. When really, this was the agenda and the goal the whole time, and they made it happen. Let's take a look at this clip. Kansas City parade goer seen in cuffs was not the gunman. Now, this looked like a biracial man, part Negro, part white, I'm assuming, but I'm pretty sure he's mixed with something. But let's take a look at this clip.
Wants you to know that he is not a mass shooter after he was wrongly accused in the Super Bowl victory parade disaster.
I just want everybody to know I had nothing to do with anything.
Images of Denton Loudermill being detained by cops and led away in handcuffs were seen across the world after deadly gunfire erupted at the Kansas City celebration. Today,
And this seemed to be some young guys who got into it at a parade and began shooting at each other in the crowd. It wasn't like your typical mass shooting where somebody took the gun out there to actually go kill a bunch of people. I mean, obviously, it can't be in nobody's mind, but it doesn't appear to be that. But could you imagine you get handcuffed for whatever reason, but you didn't have nothing to do with that? But the picture is up of you, and everybody's assuming that you the killer. I mean, the mass shooter that didn't kill people. I mean, I couldn't imagine how terrible that was for him.
with the innocent man and his attorney about the nightmare that's unfolded since being falsely labeled as one of the gunmen.
Mr. Denton and his family have received death threats. There's been a lot of hatred and bigotry.
His attorney says after images of Denton Loudermill in handcuffs went viral on social media, many assumed he was the shooter. Loudermill turns out to be a father of three and an avid Chiefs fan, whose attorney acknowledges had too much to drink at the parade.
When the officers came to clear the scene, Mr. Denton didn't move fast enough for them, so they detained him and put him on the curb in handcuffs.
When you found out that your image was on social media and people were accusing you of being
Fair use, fair use. Fair use, fair use.
Shocked, really? I was just confused.
He was detained for just a few minutes, then released without being arrested. Juveniles remained in custody awaiting formal charges.
Well, that's the reason why I don't think they've shown a picture of the two juveniles yet. I think because, if you're underage. I don't know how it works in each state, but I know a lot of states you can't show juveniles photographs, for a while. But each state is a little bit different. But I don't think they've showed pictures of them yet through the news media. But yeah, that has to be terrible. You go to a parade, have a few drinks, you get cuffed, and all of a sudden you're a mass shooter without ever having shot one person. Yeah, he's still looking confused. Even in the thumbnail, he look confused and a little tipsy. But let's take a look at this. Compton pit bull breeder mauled to death by his own dogs. Now, when you breed these dogs, you have to be extremely careful, especially when dealing with pit bulls, dogs who can actually rip a human being apart. Because animals can become extremely jealous. You might have two dogs not eating as much as the other dogs. The dogs may look at you as showing favoritism. Or you could be about one of them niggas who back there who treat them pit bulls inhumanely, feeding them When I say niggas, I don't mean black people. I just mean one of them people who back there feed the pit bulls and gunpowder and cayenne pepper, ghost powder, and all that old other shit to rile them up. I don't know what he was doing, but ain't nowhere in hell I'm gonna ever have 13 man-eating dogs that can maul you to death. So this man made a grave mistake. They say them people who have pets or work at like zoos and shit, you have to be careful with them orangutans and them chimpanzees and shit. Them things will rip your ass apart. If you give one chimpanzee a banana and not the other one, they have said, I've seen where they didn't show the actual thing, but I've seen the stories covered where the goddamn chimpanzee was ripping people apart, limb from limb, ripping people's arm off, leg off, and then killing them. Yeah, beating them to death with their own damn limbs. So you have to be careful with these animals, man. I don't know what will make a man want 13, 14 pit bulls in his backyard. Talking about you selling them. How the hell you selling full grown pit bulls? I have no idea, but let's take a look at the clip.
That's our top story at 5 o'clock. A pit bull breeder is savagely mauled to death by the very dogs he was raising in Compton. His mutilated body was found inside a blood-stained kennel on his property. KTLA's Chris Wolf joins us live from Downey with details about the gruesome discovery. Chris?
Yeah, share and court gruesome discovery indeed. Veterinarians here at the LA County Animal Control Center in Downey have.
And the first thing it makes you think about, was he feeding these dogs properly? How much does it cost to feed 15, 13, to however many pit bulls it was? How many does it cost how much does that cost per day? I'm pretty sure it's not cheap.
Working with these pit bulls, we understand they have been sent out for DNA testing. Authorities believe the victim was actually killed sometime last night, maybe around 7:30, 8 p.m., and his body was in that dog pen for hours until his girlfriend found him this morning. Sky 5 was overhead as a woman frantically scaled the fence, trying desperately to avoid some very agitated and apparently dangerous dogs on the ground below her. They have already killed her boyfriend, whose ravaged body is just feet away. The deadly pit bull attack happened at a home on North Thorson Avenue in Compton. Investigators say the woman discovered the gruesome scene Friday morning in the backyard and called 911.
There is surveillance footage of the incident or surrounding the property, and it was discovered that as our victim was in the backyard apparently feeding them, it sounds like they attacked him and ultimately he succumbed to his injuries.
Law enforcement personnel.
That's odd that you feeding the dogs and the dogs attack you for feeding them. Maybe he kicked one of the dogs, or like when you got that's a lot of dogs like that, man. You have to be, kind of stern and firm with them dogs. You might have to hit one, pop one, move one out the way. Hey, man, what are you doing? And maybe he kicked one or kicked it too hard, and one attacked and the other one seen it. And it's a pack. That's a pack attack. One attacked the rest gonna start attacking. It might be 2 or 3 on the outskirts, kind of looking, but yeah, most of us rip your ass apart. But how do you have a personal relationship with 13 dogs? A good relationship, I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but it's tough to buy.
Firefighters and LA County Animal Control officers quickly converged at the location. First responders say the initial challenge was to corral the dogs into a neighboring yard to gain access to the victim. Graphic footage, which we will not be revealing, shows the dogs ripped off most of the 35-year-old man's clothes, in addition to fatally biting and mauling him. Neighbors and animal advocates are stunned.
People need to take great care of the dogs and understand that these dogs can't kill somebody and hurt them.
That's a clue. He said people need to take better care of their dogs. Interesting.
This time it happened to the owner of the dogs, but normally it happens to children, elderly, defenseless people, and somebody definitely needs to be held accountable for this. There has to be some kind of law and order here.
Animal
Agreed.
Control officers removed 13 pit bulls from the property.
That's
Male
too many.
and female.
That's too many.
8 puppies. Investigators are collecting DNA swabs and forensic evidence, trying to determine which dogs actually attacked and killed the victim. Experts will be examining the dog's general health and behavior.
Ain't that about a bitch? They gonna show a close up of the black dog. Now the nigga pit bull is guilty. He probably was one on the outskirts looking in, but he black and he's guilty until proven innocent.
Aggression. Any animal is determined to be unsafe for human interaction, it will be euthanized.
Well, there goes the black one.
One man who does a lot of plumbing work in that neighborhood tells us that he has seen some pit bulls running loose in the streets and that, quote, they are not to be messed with. Reporting live in Downey, Chris Wolf, ETLA 5 News.
Chris, thank you.
I mean, that's just a terrible situation. That's a terrible way to go. Terrible way to go. And the man who said he did plumbing, dude edited it out. He didn't say mess with. Them pit bulls ain't to be fucked with, dog. Yeah. Them pit bulls have been known to tear motherfuckers' ass up in that neighborhood. Yeah, all of them neighbors are pissed and they not surprised. And they like, thank God it was him instead of one of us or our kids. Period, point blank. But on to the next story. Heavy raining in California. Now, I've covered this before. California, over the past couple years, year after year, all of a sudden, keeps getting these things called atmospheric rivers, where tons and tons of water just pours down on top of California out of nowhere. But California was in a drought for the longest. Now, as you can see, I've made these videos. Some of these videos is over maybe 2 years old, a year old. Hurricane Hillary made man-made weather manipulation. Dallas weather national monsoon is it weather manipulation. This is probably my oldest video, almost 3 years old. Weather manipulation is no conspiracy. Look, California atmospheric rivers, are they natural? I've been covering it. There's no way this much rain is all of a sudden hitting California. But let's take a look at the clip.
California is being pummeled by heavy rain for the second time in just weeks. Much of the ground still loose and drying out from the last storm. Millions of people are bracing for flash floods, landslides, and evacuations as the atmospheric river soaks the west coast. Some people are afraid being prepared may not be enough.
We are prepared, but I do still worry.
Could you imagine paying all that money on it for them homes? You see them homes right there? Them homes in California are millions and millions of dollars. And you buy that shit on the edge and you think it's prime property and real estate, and it looks like that shit is ready to fall into the sea or fall into the street, wherever the house is located. But a lot of them houses be right off the beach, and then some is off the cliff of edges of mountains and all this rough terrain. And California is going down the tube. I mean, fast. More people are leaving California than ever in the history of the state.
Because the hills have not dried out from the last storm. And so, of course, every time there's a rain that's going to be heavy, we have to worry about mudslides.
High winds, some up to 60 miles per hour, are expected to rip through some areas. The system is expected to last through tomorrow and then move northeast. And remember, it wasn't that long ago, like, California was in a severe drought for a long time.
I know. How do I know? Because I used to stay in California for a long while. And the whole time I was there, and damn near the whole time I was a young man in high school, California always had a problem with drought. All of a sudden, over the past 3 years, it's been atmospheric river after atmospheric river, time and time again. And in these videos, you guys, that I covered, I talk about Operation Popeye. What is cloud seeding? All of these things. And in some of these videos, they talked about, it was actually scientists and people who were over the California drought and talking about, how to fix the problem. They all said we need to seed the clouds. And these are actually in some of these videos that I covered. They actually talking about seeding these clouds. And then they act like this is just some random natural event that just happened. No way, Jose. But we're going to take a look at one last clip of the day. And this is Minnesota man who shot 2 officers and a firefighter.
Investigate the shooting in urban Minneapolis neighborhood that left 2 police officers and a firefighter dead. Officers were responding following an armed man shooting in all elements. Ruby, as well as 40-year-old firefighter that was shot while giving suspect who was found dead.
And as you can see, this is a Negro who did this. Shannon Gooden. Second-degree felony conviction barred Gooden from owning firearms. He still had a gun. So, you can change gun laws all you want. If people want to get these illegal weapons, they're going to get them. Period, point blank. But this brother, he went out in a blaze of glory. He didn't kill even a firefighter, 2 cops and a firefighter. And God knows I love the firefighters. Yeah, I got a lot of love for firefighters. I ain't going to lie to you. And police, that's one of the hardest jobs in America. We have more nut jobs and wackos and nut cases in the United States than ever before. And mental health is something that nobody wants to deal with or even know how to deal with at this point. But he didn't shot 2 officers and the firefighter. And if you're the firefighter, before you can give any kind of help to an officer who's been shot, you have to first make sure that the situation is under control and that you can actually give him the proper help without getting yourself killed. You got to be actually shielded. You need some other people shooting at the officer, or you need the shooting really to stop, or him to be neutralized, or at least some other officers to set up some kind of barrier where you could actually offer. You can't just go out in the open and start giving CPR, start trying to help. You just can't do it.
Has now been identified by several people of Shannon domestic violence.
Cortez, that's my son's middle name.
Second-degree felony assault. Investigators are still putting together details of the shooting. None of the 7 children were law enforcement said Sunday that several guns are found. Law enforcement agencies around the state are support for the fallen police officers and firefighters. Posting on Facebook, sending thoughts and prayers, asking people to honor. All remember selflessness.
Unfortunate circumstance for them officers and that firefighter. They went into a situation not knowing probably what they was going into, went in there walking slow and walking in the snow, and the man obviously just opened up fire. And then when he seen somebody trying to help somebody up there, he opened up a little more fire. And they end up killing the man, and we'll never know exactly what happened, who did what, why, where, when. Just one of those situations, you guys. But I did want to go over these several clips today. I am going to start back making videos a little more often. I just need to take a little time away sometimes. Not worry about, stress myself about making a bunch of videos. But I will start making videos a little more regularly. Start covering a few more topics. There are some things that happen, like with Cat Williams and just, stories that's happening. Sometimes that's even within the celebrity community. Check in on some of them folks and see what the hell's going on. But, I appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been Sports, Life and Politics TV. I'm Samuel Koppel, YouTube's #1 couch detective. I'm here for the news. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I just took your ass on white people don't like these you wash rag ride. Peace.